If you're a guitar player, you are really going to like this next tool, the Amp Designer. The Amp Designer is a software amp within inside of GarageBand that lets you choose from a whole variety of amps, cabinets, heads, microphones, and all kinds of different things. And I really suggest that if you are a guitar player, this is a great tool just to come in here and try out different types of amps and cabinets and what have you to see what you like before you purchase one. This is a great tip that if you want to buy, some new equipment, but you are unsure of what you want or what to get, this is a quick, easy, and free way to come in here, kind of mess around with some of these things and see exactly what it is that you're looking for. Because a lot of the equipment that is inside of GarageBand, though it's named differently, is really mimicking real life equipment. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. We'll go ahead and close the library and we'll close out the musical typing keyboard, and we're just going to use some loops for this so we can just repeat this over and over again and hear how these amps sound. So I'm going to click on guitars. Let's do rock and blues, and we'll just do a basic electric strum. We'll click on that and drag it over here. We can delete this electric piano track since we don't need it. And let's loop this so we can just play it in the background as we mess around with some of these settings. So we'll close the loop browser since we don't need that, and click on Smart Controls. And then we're going to go ahead and click on the inspector button, and then click on Master, and I can just change any one of these out if I want to. If you record with a guitar and you're using the library, there will be buttons on the side to choose amps and pedals, but you can do it this way. This is just a easy way for me to set this up. So we'll just, let's turn these off. Actually, let's just get rid of these for the moment. Okay. And we'll leave the EQ in there. Let's play this and hear how it sounds. So that's just going to be a repeating guitar strum that we're going to hear over and over again, and we'll mess around with these settings so you can hear the changes made to that one pattern. Now I'm going to come down here, and I can select from the plugins menu, amps and pedals, and amp designer. And it's going to plug that in here. It's going to give me some basic settings in the output tab, and you're going to see the amp designer pop up right here. Now, the first thing we can do is we can change the view. If we want to make this a little bigger, we can, so we can see a little more. Okay. And you can turn the amp on and off right here with this power button. And then there's also some factory defaults. You can also save these defaults, so if you find something that you really like, you can save it and call it later for other projects. But there are presets for clean, crunch, and distorted guitar sounds. I strongly recommend just come in here and click on these and go through them. But for the time being, we'll just go ahead and mess around with some of the factory default settings so you can see what some of the things do. So let's go ahead and just play this in the background. And I'm going to try to talk over it. Hopefully you can hear me okay. But we'll go over everything real quick so I can talk to you without playing it, and then we'll turn it on and I'll be quiet and just kind of mess around with the knobs so you can see what they're doing. The first thing is a basic amp EQ. So you're going to have, your gain knob, your bass, mids, and treble. And keep in mind that, some of these knobs and settings will change based on what types of amps and cabinets that you are selecting. Then you have your reverb, on and off switch, and some level. Then you have some effects. If you want to have, some echoes and tremolos, your presence, and then your master knob. Then the bottom left-hand corner, you can select the amp model, or the type of amp that you want to use, and the cabinet separately. So you can pick a model together, or you can do a custom amp and cabinet. Then over here you have a master button. If you click on this, it's just going to show you the master track effects that you can adjust here, but we're not going to use that at this time. And then the mic. Now, when you hover over the mic, you're going to see this pop up here. And what this does is it allows us to actually move the mic around based on where we're getting the sound from. And if you know anything about audio, you're going to get a different sound if the mic is placed, say, closer to the center than if it's to the outside of the speaker. And same thing as if it's closer to the speaker versus further away. So you can actually adjust the mic position. And then you have a setting to pick what kind of mic that you would actually like to choose. So you can see the different types of mics here, like Dynamic 57 would be, close to a Shure 57. And then you have your amp output, or your mic output down here in the bottom right-hand corner. So those are some of the settings. If you want to see some of the models, we can just click on one of these and change it. So say Blues Blaster combo. So when I click on that, you see the amp and the cabinet have been changed. And you can see the different settings, the look, the style, and you can see that these are similar to other types of real-life amps that are out there in the world. So we can just go through and, pick some of these. This looks like an orange, of course. So they call it the Sunshine. Of course, they can't use a name, so they're going to have different names, but you can pretty much guess what they are if you know anything about amps and equipment. And then you can do customize. So maybe I want this amp head, but I want to pick a different type of cabinet. So as you can see, it changed it over here in the right-hand corner. So let's just go ahead and we'll pick one of these. We'll just say do a small tweed combo, the first one here. And I'm just going to play this. You're going to hear it change already because we've already selected a different type of amp and cabinet. And I'll mess around with some of the settings so you can hear what it sounds like. And I'll pick a couple different amps, move around the mics in the mic position, and you can just get an idea of the different things you can do with the Amp Designer. But basically, it's just mimicking a real-life amp. If you're a guitar player, you probably know a lot of this already. If you're not a guitar player, mess around with these settings, get used to them on your own. And like I said, if you're ever in the need of looking for equipment, if you, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be really close. If you wanted to know what an orange cabinet sounded like, you could come in here and pick this, mess around with some settings and see if it's something that you might be interested in. And then you can go to your music store and actually play an orange cabinet and see how it sounds. But this will give you kind of a good idea of how these different cabinets and stacks and heads and what have you, how they sound. So let's go ahead and play this. Okay, just turn that down a little bit. So you got your gain coming in. Get your bass. Mids. Treble. There's reverb on, so let's turn that off. Okay, and we can adjust the reverb. Turn it back on. You can hear some feedback coming through as I bump that up. Some effects. Tremolo or vibrato. Turn that off. Our presence. And of course our master volume knob over there. So let's pick a couple different amp types. I apologize if these get a little loud in your ear because different amps are going to have different settings, so it might get louder or softer. But let's just pick a couple and hear how they sound. So we can do a large tweed. So here you see the blackface is definitely a different type of sound and quality. And just by looking at these, you can pretty much guess what types of companies that they're actually going for here. And then you can always, like I said, make a combination so we can actually keep the head and change out the cabinet if we wanted to. And then we can change out the microphone. Let's do and different mics are going to pick up different sounds, so that's why you would change these out. And then you can move the mic around. So let's go to the center. You hear one sound. And if we take it to the edge, you're going to hear it different. All right, so that is the Amp Designer. Again, come in here, play around with it, move around some of the knobs. I think you'll really enjoy it. If you got a guitar, you can hook up to your computer. You can play and move around these settings while you actually play, it's so cool. It's such a great feature. Just another one of GarageBand's many tools that they have within the software that you can use to make perfect audio projects.